Welcome back to Game Time, where we bring you updates on the biggest things happening in your favorite sports. This week, we're going to kick it off with the MLB. On the heels of all the hubbub surrounding the NBA, an unserious league, the MLB has now begun its own illegal gambling investigation. The league is claiming that the Guardians pitchers Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase were rigging bets and missing pitches so that bettors at home could cash out on balls thrown props and the over-under in mile per hour on pitchers' fastballs.
Ortiz was arrested in Boston by the FBI, while Clase has yet to be brought into custody. Clase plans to plead not guilty. However, the evidence is stacked against him. According to the MLB, the two pitchers, quote, deprived the Cleveland Guardians and Major League Baseball of their honor services. With sports betting being shoved down our throats at every turn, we've already seen the integrity of the NBA and the NFL come into question. Is the MLB next?
I think it very well could be. I mean, this is exactly what we've been waiting for. I predicted a long time ago that this is exactly what we would run into with the MLB. Yeah. First, it was player props in the NBA, and now it is player props, specifically pitcher props, that these Guardians are getting called out on. Remember, this Guardians team only went 76-86 in that 2023 season, which is when these claims first started. This is when the bets were first placed. It's when the red flags were first raised by the books. And it's not really looking too good for a team that wasn't even a playoff team to have these two guys that are supposed to be all-star caliber players just basically throwing away their career. They don't care for bets that were amounted up to $12,000 and $15,000 when you're on millions and millions of dollars on contract.
And especially for Emmanuel Clase, he was really good.
Very good.
Very good pitcher. But it was, I mean, he's over here like saying that he wants to, like, he's obviously not going to like admit to it, obviously. But it's really funny because I saw something. He's like, there's also bets with like first pitch strikes.
Right.
And you'll watch him and he'll spike the least competitive curveball in the dirt. And it's just like, come on. Like at that point, like you're not even trying at that point. You're just trying to make money, and that's just, you're already making millions. So like
those clips are comedy, those clips that came out of Emmanuel Clase spiking pitches and whatnot. Yeah, but I mean, you would think it would be a comedy. In reality, it's more so a tragedy. You don't want to see it happen to the MLB. There's a lot of money in this league. It's supposed to be the golden standard, America's pastime. And unfortunately, the sports betting is now affecting the players in that too.
Yeah, it seems that the integrity of a lot, if not all, professional sports are being damaged right now. Shall we go into the NFL?
Let's do it.
Yes, we should. Starting with the NFL, Marshawn Kneeland, the second-round pick in the 2024 draft out of Western Michigan, passed away on November 6th by suicide. It's really such a tragedy. He was super young, 24 years old. However, the NFL this week has been honoring him at the beginning of every game with a moment of silence, which is really nice. I know the Dallas Cowboys specifically posted a post being like, if you have any problems with mental health and stuff, please reach out, because you never know what people are dealing with.
Seriously, he scored a touchdown on Monday. And
he did.
Died days later. It's really, you never know what anyone's going through.
No, you truly don't.
Some shakeup recently in the NFC East, or as some of my folks and I like to call it, the NFC Least.
Yes.
On November 10th, Commanders head coach Dan Quinn informed the media that he will be taking on the role of defensive coordinator moving forward. The Washington Commanders currently sit at third in our division with a record of 3-7. Josh Harris is a great owner. I'm a Sixers fan. Trust me, I would know. Very funny. Could this move for Dan Quinn help the Commanders in the long run, and where do you see them finishing in the division? Because right now, in total defense, the Washington Commanders rank 30th in the league, giving up 40 yards a game. Really not cool.
I mean, obviously watching this division for many years, I know a lot of people had very high expectations for the Commanders coming in. However, this team took a turn real quick, and I feel like it's mostly just because of injuries. Granted, their defense, as you said, is not very good, but I mean, I just really think it's injuries. But Dan Quinn going to defensive coordinator role, I think that will help them a lot more, because he was primarily a defensive coach. He was a defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and they had a very top defense. Granted, they had Michael Parsons at the time.
Yeah.
But I do think that Dan Campbell can turn around this defense. It's going to take a lot of work because this defense is really struggling. But I honestly feel like, I mean, this season's kind of a lost cause for the Commanders as well, because Jaden Daniels is out indefinitely, and he's like their whole offense. And
he's had problems. Obviously, Eckler went down to the IR, and then not to mention Terry McLaurin, who I've had my woes with in fantasy year after year. I will no longer be drafting that player moving
I don't know why you drafted him
forward.
in the first place.
Yeah, seriously.
Staying in that division and traveling north to the worst playing surface on planet Earth, MetLife Stadium. Let's talk about the New York Football Giants. The Giants fired head coach Brian Daboll on November 10th, and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will replace him as the interim head coach. At 2-8, with no Malik Neighbors and no Cam Scatterbo, things are looking grim for the Giants. Could firing Daboll turn things around?
I feel like it's the same instance with the Commanders. They have all these injuries.
Except they're in a worse spot.
They are in a terrible spot.
Yeah.
But I think their defense is still very promising. We know that Brian
They
Burns,
are right above the Commanders at number 29.
They have bright spots, though. We
in
know Brian Burns has
the
11
league.
sacks on the
Yeah,
year.
Brian Burns is playing out of his mind. That's true. Kayvon Thibodeau is a talent.
And Abdul Carter looks
Carter
pretty promising.
Shows some promise. But again, these are three players that are on the defensive line. These are three guys playing edge mostly. And they're not going to score points for the offense. Jackson Dart has been good, and it seemed like he was building a relationship with Brian Daboll, but it has since been severed.
It seemed like Brian Daboll loved him.
It's super unfortunate for the Giants. I do like Malik Neighbors. I don't like him in blue, but I think he's a good player.
I always thought the Giants would be a underrated team coming into this season before the injuries.
Yeah,
I thought they would sneak out some wins that they should that they like shouldn't have won. But other than that, I mean, they're still like the Giants. They have like one top 3 hardest schedules in the NFL this year. I mean, even with all the talent they have, it wasn't looking good. So,
experience has told me you can't expect much from them. Eli's been gone for a while now.
that's very true.
That's enough on the NFL. We'll be bumping it over to the NBA to talk about your Philadelphia 76ers. That's right, Danica. I know he's a Mavs fan, but that's okay. We'll just glaze right over that. The Sixers continue to impress with their stellar guard play. Over the weekend, I was lucky enough to make it out to a game against the Raptors at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Sporting the Throwback City jerseys, the unit, minus Paul George, played very well together. Former net Trendon Watford led the way with a triple-double, while Maxey added 31 and Embiid added 29. Sixers are looking good in that one, but Danica, what happened right after?
The very next day, they lost.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Sixers would follow up the win against the Raptors with a loss to the Detroit Pistons on Sunday night back at Xfinity Mobile Arena. The 9-2 Pistons walked into Philly and imposed their will. Help came from franchise guard Cade Cunningham, who scored 46 points on his way to a triple-double in the win. Owen, you had the Pistons awfully high in your preseason rankings, didn't you?
I sure did. I say, the Pistons are a talented team, they're a young team, and they're a model for a lot of other teams like, say, the Magic or, say, you could say the Hornets, who maybe have these young guys that are a little bit scattered. They don't have a lot of structure. The Magic finally did put it together around Paolo Banchero. The Hornets haven't quite been able to do so with LaMelo Ball, but I love what the Pistons did with Cade Cunningham. They put all their eggs in the Cade Cunningham basket.
He's great.
And he just turned out to be a great playmaker. He did take 45 shots in that game, which is a lot. But he's usually a pass-first point guard. Asar Thompson out.
Kind of have to shoot more.
Little this, little that. Cade Cunningham he's definitely lethal against that Sixers defense, which gave 120 points to those Raptors that game I went to.
I think I had the Raptors in my play-in. They were one of those sneaky teams, I think.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
They have a couple guys. Emmanuel quickly played well. I don't really know about Scotty Barnes on Joel Embiid. Obviously, he's not going to have a good game when he's up against the 7-footer, but yeah, things are looking good for the Sixers despite the loss, I think.
Yeah, Sixers look great. They're, second in the East now?
No, we dropped down a couple spots. I believe we're 5 or 6 now.
Really? Is the East back?
We are 6-4. It's early. It's early days. It's early days. Guys saying is the East back? The bottom 3 teams have 1 win.
I was gonna correct myself and say the East is pretty lopsided.
Yeah.
Because they're either like really good or really bad.
Well, the Thunder are 10-1. They're gonna get 70 wins. So
That's a bold prediction.
that's fun.
That's a bold prediction.
All right, they don't get 70. They'll get like 67, 68, something like that.
So how about your Mavs?
Well, we have great news. Even though we're 3-8 on the year and second to last in the West, Nico Harrison's been fired. So the cheers and people can start popping champagne and all that stuff. And the drama is over.
And who is Nico Harrison?
The general manager for the Mavericks. The drama's over.
Why was he so problematic?
Yeah, what did he do?
Gee, I wonder what trades he made.
What did he do to your friend?
Let me just spitball a couple. Let's see. He traded Luka to the Lakers, and now Luka has lost because the issue was he had lost, like he was too heavy and he was being lazy. Now he's lost weight and is currently averaging 37, 9, and 9. So that's fun. And then they traded Quentin Grimes to the Sixers. And now he's averaging 17, 4, and 4.
Early days, too, yeah.
And in return, we got Caleb Martin, who's averaging currently 1, 1, and 1.
He's a defensive guy, but yeah, man, we definitely won that trade for sure.
Yeah. Don't keep in mind we didn't re-sign Brunson either.
You dished Brunson. Yeah, you didn't want to hand him the keys.
To be fair, the Dallas Mavericks are still missing Kyrie, Derek Lively's hurt right now, and Anthony Davis. Shocker.
Yeah.
What did we say, 2 weeks?
Glass
made
man.
It 4 games?
Glass man.
Yeah. This team is still young. Cooper Flagg did have a career night last night. I think he dropped 26 points in the loss to the Milwaukee Bucks last night, which we blew a 13-point lead with 10 minutes left. It's good stuff. But I think the restriction of a really bad GM is behind us, and hopefully that with how young the roster relatively is, with a couple veteran spots here and there, I think that this team can turn around. It's still early. It's really hard to get out of this really pit that we're in right now. But I think Flagg's gonna be great. He's 18 years old, and he's a little inconsistent here and there, but he's 18. Last 18-year-old, the last 2 18-year-olds to play were what, Kobe and LeBron? I'm not comparing them to those two. I'm just saying, with that age and throwing him into the starting point guard spot, like we've discussed, is a lot for someone that young. But we'll see. We will see.
Flagg's got a ton of time to develop. I always like to mention he's been in the USA jersey since he was 15, 16 years old. He has a ton of talent.
He was on the scout team.
I will say this about Cooper Flagg. If he doesn't get his act together soon, social media will turn on him, and it will be very funny. So, I know he had a great game in that last game against the Bucks.
It also doesn't help that I saw something on Instagram at the Mavericks 3-point shooting. There are 7 guys on that list that are shooting under 30% right now. Wow.
Yeah, and that's something that used to be the strong suit
of the Mavs, exactly.
Well, yeah, when you guys
used to be able to just spread the floor.
Well, when you guys made that run, man, with Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, you could just kick it out to wherever you wanted. Reggie Bullock was on that team too. It's just cha-ching, ching, ching. It
was Luka. He would draw all the attention to the paint and then just dish it out to one of them, and it would just money. And we get back on defense.
Handcrafted roster. Blown up now. Nico Harrison gone.
Yes. He's gone. Man. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
You don't have Daryl Morey. Guy uses AI solvers.
I just feel bad for Jaeden Keyes. He's doing the best he can with the roster he has. But I can't wait for Kyrie to come back. He will turn this team around when he comes back. I have a good feeling about that.
All right. Throw some ice over those boards, huh?
Yes.
We're going to talk about my favorite hockey. Pittsburgh Penguins. Not my favorite. Defenseman Erik Karlsson is headed home as the team travels to Sweden for the NHL Global Series, marking a special return for the Swedish star. The Penguins are coming off a 3-2 loss to the Los Angeles Kings, sitting at a 9-5-3 record and third in the Metro. The focus now shifts to the international stage, where the league continues to expand its reach beyond North America. Personally, I love these games.
Absolutely. This is something that not just the NHL is doing. There's a couple other leagues that have been doing it for some time, not just expanding markets and making moolah, but gaining new fans, right? Mm-hmm. Who doesn't love a new fan base? The Global Series isn't just about hockey. It highlights the growing role of sports tourism. As far as fans from around the world, they travel to see their favorite teams and players in these new settings. Games are being played in cities that haven't been played before. Yeah. Raises an interesting question, though. how much can these international games grow a sport's global fan base and open new markets for the league? Is this something that's going to be huge for the NHL? Is it going to be a whole new fan base like we're trying to see with the NFL in South America?
Personally, I think this is really great that Pittsburgh has a Swedish star already going to Sweden. Like, you already have a target audience immediately. They want to see their guys representing their hometown. So I think, yes, this opens up to that country, and then obviously you're going to have your Americans who are going to go over to Sweden. So for both ends, it makes a ton of money, like you said. Anywhere in the area, they're gonna be making great bucks right now.
And I mean, it's the same thing with baseball. Like
Yep.
all the vast majority of players outside of the U.S. If anything, it's growing even more to the point where it's like these other countries' players are like doing better than the Americans, and it's really cool to see. And it spreads that like joy, especially like with Ohtani. Obviously, that's like the big one.
Yeah.
And we've had, when the Dodgers are in the playoffs, or when Ohtani's in the playoffs, we've seen that the viewership has skyrocketed versus when it's just like lower market teams, but like not at the same time because they don't have like the international stars. However, with the NFL, it's I feel like the NFL's been struggling. They've been trying to force out this stuff, and then they're putting like the worst football teams possible on the field for these people to see.
Yeah, I think the game in Brazil was great. I keep referencing that because I thought that was super cool. I sent the Eagles down there for that. Yeah. But, I'm actually shocked. There was a whole lot of support in Germany, and there's actually been recently a whole lot of support in England. The game's in London. Yeah. They actually have people that, the Jags have played there a couple times, and now there's like Jacksonville Jaguars fans living in London.
Phillies went to London too, and that was an incredible turnout also.
And Scandinavia it's a lot of hockey up there. So you talk about Sweden, you talk about the NHL. There's a ton of NHL fans in that country that are itching to get to that game. So it's not just for the fans, like you said. I think it's really going to be big for the NHL, and they're not just branching out and coming up with something new. They're following suit. They're doing what the NFL did.
These cities too, like mom and pop shops, they do so well because people want that authentic Swedish experience. They're going to do so well. Like
when people travel,
your hotels, your restaurants, it's pretty much foolproof for a city to host an American sport right now.
And even for
Americans like to spend money. Huh?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they do.
And
even in like the All-Star game last year with the NHL, they did the international like tournament.
Yeah.
Even that just alone, like the NBA is that All-Star game is a joke.
Don't get me
but
started.
I love
on
what
that, man.
the NHL's doing because it's also producing that that same like the same producer. Wow, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we're tapping into unmarked audiences and fan bases right now, and it's pretty cool to see across the board.
The NHL saw what was happening with the All-Star situation, and they did something about it. The NBA does not care. They're just going to keep re-signing and cutting Mac McClung so that they have a 50-inch vertical.
Don't even get me started on Mac McClung
contest. Yeah, apparently we got a couple of Mac McClung stands here at the desk. That's right. So we love you, Mac. We'd love to see you in the dunk contest, but unfortunately,
we want to see you play.
Unfortunately, the NBA is it's a business just like anything else, and man, they're not too worried about the All-Star game. They just want to have their little pawn to move around when they want. The NHL, I think they did it right. They abandoned that whole format when they saw the players weren't hitting each other anymore.
Same with the NFL. They don't hit each other anymore. They turn it into a flag football game.
Oh, dude. Yeah, and they play like dodgeball.
Yeah. No, that stuff's fun. I like watching those mini games. I think they're pretty entertaining. But it does get repetitive. So
Power to you, my friend. I'm just not sitting there and watching dodgeball.
But back to Mac McClung.
Throw dodgeballs.
Back to the NHL.
Yeah, sorry, my fault. Back to the NHL.
I don't know. I think it's really great what the NHL is doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you have a star who's going back home to play, it's all the more bittersweet.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. And that will conclude today's episode of Game Time.
If you're interested in football, specifically fantasy football, tune in to 98.5 WNUW. That's the radio station here every single Thursday at 5 p.m. for a Thursday night lineup. We'll be talking fantasy football.
And if you're interested in all things Philly sports, be sure to check out the Newman Media app as well as YouTube for Around South Philly.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great week.